Are you already an exile like me? Perhaps maybe even one of the exiles who followed me over on my old channel back when I was still making Path of Exile content there? Did you hear that GGG was making a sequel and got really freaking excited? Did you continue to get even more excited as teaser and trailer after teaser and trailer came out and more information was provided? Are you struggling to stay sane waiting for Path of Exile 2 to come out? Well, the wait is almost over. Hello, fellow exiles. I'm Exiled Erdrick, and I'm going to try to sum up everything we currently know about Path of Exile 2. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different this time. See, when I first planned out this whole video series and vlog, GGG had mostly still just done, little teasers and announcements, a class here, an act there. And so we hadn't really gotten everything compiled together yet. And I think, like many of us, I was expecting that the early access teaser was going to be very similar to that. But yeah, leave it to New Zealanders to make a Lord of the Rings length live stream. So more than likely, you've already watched that video. Linked in the video description below, by the way. So, well, I guess there's really not a purpose for this video, anymore. Well, this has been Divine Erdrick, and I'll see you all in Rayclast. But maybe you haven't watched that video. Maybe you saw it was 90 minutes and bounced right off of it. Maybe you haven't watched any of the following interviews and don't have that information all in one place. So that's what we're going to try and do here. I am going to try and condense all of the information we've received so far into this one video, and hopefully it won't turn out to be 90 minutes long. And this video is already over 2 minutes, so let's get started. So first off, we're getting more cutscenes this time. Good cutscenes too. I highly recommend checking out the opening cinematic. Link also in the description. Our story picks up 20 years after the fall of Orieth. In Ogham, the Count and his wife have declared war on the gods. In their fight, they have turned to the powers of corruption. Having found and bound an entity known only as the Hooded One, the Iron Count has stolen the seed of corruption. Now the Count has gone mad and is executing any that speaks against him, feeding their bodies to the seed. You have just escaped your own execution, and now you must travel through Rayclast, hunting down the Count to stop this seed before it's too late. In our quest, we'll be exploring Ogham in Act 1, the Vastiri Plains in Act 2, and the Ancient Fall Ruins in Act 3. We've also seen some glimpses of Act 4, where we'll sail out of Kingsmarch to explore the islands around Rayclast. Path of Exile 2 will have 12 classes, 6 of which have been confirmed for early access. The Mercenary, the Ranger, the Monk, the Sorceress, the Warrior, and the Witch. Like in PoE 1, all skills are granted by skill gems. During the game, you will find uncut gems. You can then cut these into any gem you want. Every uncut gem has a level, and you can either cut a gem of that level, or use the gem to level up one you already have. You can then socket the gem to gain its power. However, unlike in PoE 1, we won't be socketing the gems into our equipment this time. No, we will be socketing these skills directly into our character, and you can normally have up to 9 skill gems equipped. In addition to having skill gems for specific situations, such as bossing versus clearing hordes, many gems are designed to combo with each other. For example, instead of providing a passive buff, charges now empower our skills. So you can use Killing Palm to gain a power charge, then use it to empower a skill like Falling Thunder. But some skills just combo naturally. With Earth Shatter, any slams you do will cause its fissures to erupt, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Skills like Ancestral Warrior and Cast-On supports are now represented by meta gems. You can socket your skill gems into these, and the meta gem will automatically trigger them. Additionally, Buffs and permanent minions have been combined into a new type of gem called Spirit Gems. These gems use a new resource called Spirit, and you now reserve Spirit instead of life or mana. While you don't have a lot of Spirit to start, you can gain more from the passive tree, items such as scepters, and items dropped by bosses. You can spend Spirit from the skill screen to select what buffs and minions you want to use. You can also still summon temporary minions from corpses to really get an army of the dead rolling. Cast on trigger gems also reserve Spirit now, and now work by building up charge before triggering their skill. Cast on Ignite, for example, will automatically cast a socketed spell when you ignite enough enemies. Skills are now focused around each weapon and magic type. In early access, we will have 21 skills for quarter staves, 20 for maces, 21 for bows, 22 for crossbows, 25 occult skills, and 25 elemental skills. For now, weapons that don't have skills supporting them won't drop, so I won't get to play with any swords yet. I'm the sad. And again, though each class will recommend skills, any class can use any skill they have the attributes for. Finally, let's talk quickly about controls. Many skills can be used while moving now, or allow you to control their movement when you use them. You can even dodge roll out of most animations so you never lose control of your character. Oh yeah, I just said dodge roll. Yeah, that's a thing now. Hit skills will miss you while you're rolling, but there's no invulnerability or phasing, so you'll need to make sure you get clear of area attacks. Additionally, you can now actively block with your shield, automatically stopping any attacks from the front. However, the shield does have a stamina gauge, and if you see a monster flashing red, its attack will be unblockable. In addition to click to move, Path of Exile 2 will come with native controller support and support for WASD movement. These new control schemes easily allow you to move your character while casting or attacking. Just as skill gems and spirit gems, support gems drop as uncut gems now. You can craft these into any support of your choosing, and the crafting menu will show recommended support gems for each of your skills. Support gems are now placed in sockets in your skill menu. Every skill starts with 2 sockets, but you can use a lesser jeweler's orb to grant a skill 3 sockets, then a jeweler's orb to increase it to 4, then finally a greater jeweler's orb to get 5 sockets. Once a support gem is created, you can freely socket it between your skills. You may have noted I haven't mentioned anything about color, chromatic orbs, or links and fusings. In PoE 2, as long as you have the attributes and an open socket, you can use any support gem of your choosing and support any skill. Every support gem alters your skill in a unique way. For example, the multiple projectile support causes a projectile from a skill to split into 3 projectiles. Skill gems and support gems have tags in their description, such as the projectiles tag. You can use these tags to determine how a support gem will interact with your skill gems. There are hundreds of support gems in PoE 2, but you'll still have to be clever. You can only have one of each support gem socketed into your character. In addition to being an all-new tree, many of the passive tree's mechanics have now changed. First, you'll always start in the center of the tree, with each class having a different branch they start at. The passives on these starting branches change based on what class you're playing too. So the passives initially available to the witch aren't the same as those available to the sorceress. And should the monk travel along the tree to those branches, they may find different skills as well. But once you get outside those starting areas, the passive skills are the same for every class. Should you not like your current selections in the tree, it's easier than ever to respec. Regrets are gone. You now respec your character with gold. Next, the attribute highways now let you choose what stat you want to increase. You can also respec that attribute later at half the cost. You'll also notice the jewel sockets are now located on the highways instead of being slightly off to the side. Jewels are still craftable items you can place in these sockets to improve your character, and there are also still special jewels. For small notables and passives, they're still located in clusters, but instead of having a symbol in the cluster to help you find the ones you want, clusters are now often have thematic shapes like a constellation, while the more difficult to use keystones are still a little off the path. You'll also find very little in the way of life or mana on the tree now. This allows you to focus on improving your more active defenses and character power. But by far, the largest change is to skill books. Skill books now grant you a special skill point that can be assigned to up to 2 passive skills. Your character will automatically switch the passive skill assigned when you switch your weapons. You can also tie your active skill gems to specific weapons now, allowing you to use your skills with weapons and passives that empower them the most. Items in Path of Exile 2 still drop from enemies in containers and still come in 4 rarities: normal, magic, rare, and unique. Also note, chests now come in magic and rare too, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few unique chests hiding out there. Items you find can still be crafted using currency orbs, but now follow a basic upgrade chain. A transmute turns a normal into a magic and grants a random mod. Augments add a second random mod. This will result with 1 prefix mod and 1 suffix mod. A Regal Lord upgrades the item to rare and adds another random mod. Finally, Exalted Orbs can add additional mods to a total of 6, 3 prefix mods and 3 suffix mods. You can also use other crafting items to try and get better results. For example, you can use an Essence instead of a Transmute to get a specific mod, or a Greater Essence instead of a Regal. You can risk using an Annulment, which will remove a random mod and hope it grabs one you didn't want, or you can try the new Chaos Orb to both remove and add a random mod at the same time. Items may also have sockets, or you can add them with an Artificer's Orb. You can add runes or soul cores to these sockets to get the mods on them. There are also items that can increase the quality of your crafting projects, granting up to 20% bonus to an item's base stats. Finally, you can use a Vol Orb to unpredictably change your item and corrupt it. Once an item is corrupted, you can't change it further, so you're stuck with the result, for better or worse. GGG has reworked how and when items drop throughout the game. The goal is to have fewer but more meaningful drops. Currency orbs that add mods, such as augments and exalts, are much more common now too. And there is a permanent currency exchange you can use to easily trade for orbs you want. There's also more you can do with your unwanted items. In addition to trading them with your fellow exiles, you can sell them for gold or break them down for shards or crafting materials, including transmutes, regals, mats to improve item quality, and artificer orbs. You can also use your gold with a reworked vendor system, hunting for items with the mods you need, or crafting bases, or just gamble for random items. Gold also powers the currency exchange and the respec system. But don't worry about it flooding the trade market. You can trade every item you find in the game except gold. And when it comes for looking for items to buy, you may consider looking for a base type that has a skill on it. In Path of Exile 2, you can find many weapons that have skills on them. You can even socket support gems into these skills, including your basic attack. There are new and returning unique items in Path of Exile 2. All unique items have fixed mods, usually including a mod or role you can't get on a rare item. GGG is trying to balance these items so each one is useful, either as a powerful addition to a build or the start of one. Flasks have been reworked again too. You now have 1 dedicated flask slot for life flasks and 1 for mana flasks. Utility flasks have been reworked into charms. These gain charges from killing enemies just like your flasks do, and automatically trigger to cure ailments like freezing. You can increase your charm slots by upgrading your belt. Finally, in addition to normal items, some bosses drop powerful permanent boosts. You'll be able to see these rewards on your world map, and hunt down the enhancements you desire. Path of Exile 2 will have 3 Ascendancy classes for each base class, for a total of 36 combinations. 2 are available for each class in early access. The Sorceress has the Stormweaver, which is built around elemental mastery, and the Chronomancer, which is built around controlling, even stopping, time. The Warrior has the Warbringer, which focuses on totems and war cries, and the Titan, which is all about massive attacks. The Deadeye and Pathfinder return for the Ranger. The Deadeye still focuses on powerful projectile attacks, while Pathfinder is focused on poison and throwable concoctions. The Witch, however, has 2 new Ascendancies. The Infernalist has demon and fire-themed abilities, including summoning a Hellhound and turning into a demon. The Blood Mage uses life instead of mana for their skills, and has lots of ways to gain and use life for more power. The Monk will start with the Invoker and the Acolyte of Chiula. The Invoker focuses on elements and lets you become the Avatar, while the Acolyte lets you channel powers from beyond and use darkness as a weapon. Finally, the Mercenary will begin early access with the Witch Hunter and the Gemling Legionnaire. The Witch Hunter is all about hunting down targets and doing big damage, while the Gemling Legionnaire provides utility abilities related to skill gems. To ascend, you'll need to complete one of 3 trials, 2 of which will be available in early access. You can use any or all of these trials to ascend, gaining points for your chosen ascendancy anytime you clear a new tier of trial. The first trial available is the Trial of the Sekima. For those of you that experienced the Sanctum League, Path of Exile's roguelike mechanic, this is a reskin, and appears to work almost identically. You'll need to capture a Jinn in a special coin and place it on the altar. There you'll receive relic slots that you can use to gain a bonus during your trial. You'll then have to clear a series of challenges with a map that lets you choose your path through each one. During these challenges, you will have a new stat, Honor. Every time you get hit, you'll lose honor, run out, and you fail the trial. You will also encounter events that will grant you boons, grant you rewards if you complete the trial, or that will curse you with afflictions. During these trials, you'll also find sacred water to purchase items to aid you in your run, and you can even remove some afflictions with them. Successfully complete the floor and defeat its guardian, and you'll complete the first tier and ascend. You'll also gain rewards, including increased chances of finding jewels for your skill tree and special jewels that enhance other passives on the tree. There will be up to 4 tiers and floors to the Trial of the Sekimas, with a pinnacle boss you will only be able to find in Endgame. The second trial available is the Trial of Chaos. If you know Ultimatum League, you know what to expect. You will find the Trial Master, and he will issue an inscribed ultimatum. This ultimatum will tempt you with a challenge and a reward. Before attempting the trial, you'll have to choose one of 3 tribulations. However, instead of running in a circle around an altar, each trial now has its own room. Clear the trial, and the Trial Master will offer you a new reward at the cost of another tribulation. The stacking tribulations will make each room harder, but you'll get more and more rewards if you choose to continue. But if you fail, you'll lose all of your earned rewards. Complete 3 trial rooms and you'll fight a boss. Succeed and you'll claim all your offered rewards and ascend. Find higher tier inscribed ultimatums and you can face further challenge rooms and bosses, for a total of 10 rooms in Endgame. You may also get a key to face the pinnacle boss of Ultimatum. But now that you know all about how to build your character, let's talk a little about the challenges you'll face. Path of Exile 2 is planned for 6 acts. The campaign will span across the continent of Rayclass with over 100 unique zones and 100 unique bosses. After completing the campaign, you'll gain access to Path of Exile 2's extensive endgame. At the start of early access, only 3 of these acts will be available. This will include over 400 monster types and 50 unique bosses, but this won't be enough to get your character ready for endgame. So, for early access only, after completing the first 3 acts, you can face them again on Cruel difficulty. This is similar to the original structure of Path of Exile or Nightmare difficulty from the Diablo series. Complete this more difficult campaign and you can finally enter the Atlas. This time around, the Atlas is infinite, with biomes and cities similar to Delve. Maps now are the nodes on the Atlas, and feature highly randomized content. To reach them, you'll need a waystone. These are craftable, tiered items that allow you to travel to adjacent maps. While technically waystones are items you use to travel to maps, they function much like the original PoE1 maps did, so don't be surprised when people start calling them that. Rewards and challenges for maps are determined by the waystone. Prefix mods will improve the rewards you find, while suffixes will increase the challenge. More challenging maps will have better chances of dropping more waystones. Once you enter a map, you'll have your usual 6 portals, but don't get comfortable. These are for your friends or returning with loot only. 6 portal defense is gone. If you die, you fail the map and cannot travel to it again. Kill all the rare and unique monsters in the map and you'll claim it, and then can travel to any connected maps with your next waystone. You might wonder that if you fail too many maps, you might reach a point you can't proceed further into the Atlas. But there will be a way to reset your Atlas and start over, and we still don't have all the details on this. You'll note I didn't say anything about a map boss. You can find icons above maps in the Atlas now. These icons show what challenges you'll face, and only certain maps will have bosses. So if you're building a character for clear speed, you can actually avoid these encounters. Similarly, if you want to farm the bosses, this is how you'll target them. Speaking of farming, we'll no longer be trying to farm or hunt for specific maps. Instead, we'll find our chosen challenges by exploring the Atlas. These will include the unique maps of Ol, and is also now how we unlock our new hideouts. In exploring the Atlas, you can use precursor towers to reveal the area around you. You can also place tablets in them. These work like the old Sextant system combined with the new Scarab system, and will apply modifiers and league mechanics to the maps within their reach. And, of course, you can craft your tablets as well. By completing challenges in the Atlas, you'll gain points for your Atlas tree. The tree has been completely reworked, making it more of a forest. You have one central tree that lets you increase the challenge and rewards of your maps, while the surrounding trees are connected to specific league mechanics and gain their own points. This way, you never have to worry about choosing what content to specialize in. And to make sure the endgame has plenty of that content, GGG has made sequels to many of the league mechanics from PoE 1. Shrines from the Domination League return with a little bit of a settler's twist. You'll now have to kill all the empowered monsters to claim them. Strong boxes from Ambush are here as well, and appear to work very similarly, though sometimes the monsters will appear around you and attack in waves. As I mentioned earlier, essences are back too. Just as before, you'll trigger the encounter, kill the monsters, and then claim the essence. As I mentioned during crafting, essences seem to only have 2 tiers now. Some areas of the Atlas are corrupted, and you can find unique encounters in those maps, such as those from the Beyond League, where killing monsters in groups summons Beyond Demons. Breach has also returned, and is the first league mechanic mentioned with a pinnacle boss. The mechanic works much as it did before. Find the breach, open it, then slay monsters to try and keep it open. Breaches drop catalysts, breach rings, and breach splinters. Catalysts work the same as they currently do in Path of Exile, improving specific mods of jewelry. Breach rings are now no longer corrupted and can be crafted with ores and catalysts for up to 50% quality. Collect enough breach splinters and you can make a breach stone, which you can then use to open a special map with a special breach. Make it to the end and you can face the new pinnacle boss, Zesht, We That Are One. Ritual in its new affliction form is the next league. This mechanic is also mostly unchanged. Kill monsters in the ritual circle to power the ritual, then begin the ritual to face them again. Each time you start a ritual, it will include all the previous monsters from rituals you completed in that map. Monsters killed will earn you tribute, which you then use to purchase rewards at the altar. One of those rewards is omens, which are now replacing metacrafting. Use an omen on the listed currency orb, and it will modify its next use. The King in the Mist from Affliction League returns now as the pinnacle boss of Ritual. We still don't know much about how to access this encounter, or have any previews of the boss fight itself yet. Delirium is returning almost completely unaltered. Enter the Delirium Mirror to fill your maps with its mists, making all encounters more challenging. Slay monsters in the mist to increase your rewards, but the longer you stay, the more difficult it becomes. Delirium doesn't currently drop cluster jewels, but it now drops distilled emotions. These are similar to blight oils, and can be used to instill a notable passive onto an amulet, or to add delirium to a waystone. You can also find splinters for Simulacrum, where you will still fight waves of monsters with a special pinnacle boss fight at the end. Expedition is also returning and also appears to be completely intact. You'll still plant explosives to dig up chests and monsters, destroyed remnants will still increase difficulty and rewards, and you'll still collect artifacts to trade with our Calgurn friends. Find a logbook, and Danik can open a special expedition for you. Whew! That was so much. Like I said, there's a lot. But hopefully I brought it all together in a form you can digest. So please, let me know, what mechanic are you most excited for? I know I can't wait to play with the new skill gem system and upgrade my character's equipment without having to worry about gem sockets. And if you're still on the fence, please tell me, what's holding you back? I have to admit, I'm really nervous I'm going to prick my first Atlas. Please let me know in the comments below, and like and subscribe, do all those things YouTube wants you to do to help with my vlog project. Path of Exile 2 enters paid early access on December 6th for $30 with a full free-to-play release coming later next year. I'm Exile Derdrick, and I can't wait to see you all in Rayclast.